Joining me now is House Majority Leader Steve Scalise of the great state of Louisiana. Great to see you. Thank you for being here, Leader. I just have to ask, because obviously speakers don't put a bill up if they know it's going to fail. This morning, it looked as though it was going to fail. You had 4 GOP defections, 4 GOP members that didn't look like they were going to vote for it. Since then, I understand Donald Trump has been talking to some of those. Is it possible that you could get the votes now? Has the president turned those 4 members, or at least 3 of them, around?
David, a lot of us are still having those conversations. And look, I mean, I've been here before where we have big bills. When you're bringing a big bill to the floor, you're having conversations with those members that are on the fence all the way up until the vote's closed, not just when it's open. I've had times when I was on the floor during the vote with one final member just trying to resolve some issues, answer questions, and then ultimately get those issues resolved and hopefully get a yes vote. Here we have an incredibly narrow majority, as everybody knows, in the House. And so just 2 people going to no could kill the bill. So, there's been all hands on deck. We're having a lot of conversations for weeks and weeks. We've been doing that. Last night, we had a meeting with about 15 of our members who were on the fence. At the end of that meeting with the speaker, myself, others, we were able to get all of those members to yes. Then, we narrowed it down to just, a handful, maybe less than a handful. And then we've been working through that all day, meeting with those members one-on-one. That's going to continue through the vote.
But this is such a unique circumstance. I mean, this bill, more than anything else, is what Donald Trump campaigned on. I mean, he campaigned on a lot of different things, but specifically on turning the economy around. And if you don't get this bill passed, I mean, Steve Moore came out with a list of the various things that would change if you don't get it passed before it expires at the end of the year. One, standard deduction falls from $30,000 to $16,000. The top individual tax rate will go up from 37 to 39.6%. Child tax credit falls from $2,000 to $1,000. Small business tax goes up 25%. The death tax doubles. And unlike what the Democrats will tell you about this just benefiting the rich, the richest Americans would get a massive SALT deduction. So, I mean, it would be catastrophic. Is it too much to say that if you don't get it by the end of the year?
It's not an overstatement to say that, David. And in fact, and Stephen Moore's brilliant, great economist, I work with him on a lot of things. There's one item he left off that list, and that is that for every small business in America, part of the Trump tax cuts back in 2017 that we're trying to extend, to renew. These aren't tax cuts, by the way. These are maintaining the rates that are currently in place. Yes. By the end of this year, some of them expire, which means taxes will go up. And let's be clear, Democrats want those taxes to go up. They want to tax the middle class. It's not the rich. It's not the billionaires and the millionaires they love talking about. It's going to be the middle class that get hit with that income tax rate. There's a tax increase that's coming that's not even on there. It's called 199A. And what it means to every small business in America is the ability to compete with large multinational corporations. So if we do nothing, the large multinationals keep the 21% corporate rate, but every small business in America will jump to a 43% effective rate. Can you imagine that? You're a mom and pop 20-person shop on Main Street, and you're barely competing right now with the big billionaire, multi-billion-dollar corporation that's a globalist company. You're going to jump to a more than double tax rate than that company. And that's not the billionaire. That's the small mom and pop shop that's going to go to 43% when your competitors at 21. That will crush small businesses in America. That's not even listed, and that's yet one more tax.
And individuals, Congressman, the New York Times, of all publications in the world, came out with a headline a few years ago, back just after the 2017 cut kicked in, saying, you may not want to hear it, but 65% of all taxpayers got a tax deduction. That means that at least 65% of Americans, of voting Americans, will see their taxes go up if it expires.
Over 140 million families making less than $1 million, by the way, over 140 million of those families will see a tax increase if this bill fails. And every Democrat's voting no. So again, they want middle class taxes to go up. Don't believe their lies about the rich, the millionaires, billionaires. Look, Trump wants to get rid of the tax on tips, and so do we, and we're going to do that in this bill.
That's
Last
not
time I
billionaires.
checked, Elon Musk does not work for tax
Right.
for tips.
Right.
That's
right.
the average pay of a tip worker is $32,000 a year, and there's millions of them, and we want to help those families. The Democrat Party is saying no to them. They want those families, $32,000 a year, to pay higher taxes.
And it's not
That's
just just the Democrats. I mean, you do have these blue state Republicans who are so focused. Yeah, but you don't have a margin of error here. I mean, you only
we don't.
If you lose 2 votes, that's it. Senator Johnson has come up with an idea of that wouldn't please everybody, and it's not what the president really wants, but a sort of a plan B. I just want to play Senator Johnson about what he thinks may be done that could at least prevent the taxes from going up at the end of the year. Roll tape.
I'd be happy to just extend the current tax code to make sure we take a massive automatic tax increase off the table and then start working on what is far more complex, no tax on tips, those types of things. That's just a far more complex package put together.
So what about that? At least get something down on paper passed that extends the current code for another couple of years.
Yeah, the problem with that is, and again, it all sounds great. It's basically the same bill we're passing today. If the people that vote against it today, it's the same people, they're going to vote against just keeping current tax law. It doesn't cost much more to extend no tax on tips. Keeping the current law is what's expensive, according, by the way, to the referees up here, the Congressional Budget Office. I think most Americans would say, if today I'm paying 21%, tomorrow, if I'm paying 21%, why does that cost the government money?
Right.
They're still getting the same amount from me, but the bureaucrats up here, it's why we need to clean this town up. The bureaucrats say the only way you can keep the 21% rate at 21 is if you offset it with cuts of billions and trillions of dollars.
I know, it's crazy.
And so, we're working through all of that. The bottom line question is, do we want to keep the rates where we are today? That's what we're going to be voting on tonight. Or do you want a $4.5 trillion tax increase primarily on the middle class families of America?
Yeah.
I don't want that. Almost every Republican says no to that. Democrat Party all says they want that tax hike to hit those middle class families, but they lie and use billionaires as the boogeyman. Billionaires aren't going to be paying these tax hikes.
Right. They never do.
99% of these tax hikes hit the middle class and lower income families and people who work for tips. Again, average pay $32,000 a year.
Yeah, and of course the overtime folks as well. I just want to quickly switch gears because we're running out of time, but the Democratic protest against DOGE, we understand they're not just taking place inside the Beltway now. There's this campaign to put them in various districts where congresspeople are in trouble, and they might turn some close districts, which might turn around and get you to lose your majority in the House. Free Beacon's come out with an investigation that a lot of these people are professionals. That is, they've been tutored by some of the groups funded by George Soros operations like Indivisible and Move On and stuff. What do you know about this? Does this go beyond just congressmen mouthing off in front of the Capitol?
Yeah, we've seen this playbook before. Some of them might be constituents in somebody's district. A lot of them are, people that are just far left activists who show up when you're trying to put more money in the pockets of taxpayers.
Right.
They want Washington to get all of your money and they want to waste it. We all saw the $2 billion to Stacey Abrams' group. To do what? She literally just formed the organization. They had $100 in revenue from the year before, and they got a $2 billion contract with the federal government, lo and behold. Was that competitively bid, David?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
In radio, by the way,
cronyism, friends.
In radio, it's called payola. And that's it's all payola.
And the American
curtain
people
has been
see that
pulled.
for what it
the
is.
American people see it.
Yeah.
Thank goodness for DOGE, because they pulled the curtain aside. It's kind of like what we saw with the pandemic in our school system when that curtain was pulled aside. Now we see it for the entire federal government. Leader Scalise,
it's another layer. It's been needed for a long time.
I know you're so busy and will be for the next few hours. Thank you so much for taking time with us.
We're going to go get it done. Failure's not an option, David. Let's go get it done. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a million.